Hello everyone. Welcome to Tuesday Tea Time. I am out in the pasture with my horses and I have Raz here who just came to say hello. Hi Raz, you want to say hi to everybody for tea time? And as we were, you've disturbed my train of thought here, Raz. He heard me talking. He thought maybe there was something interesting going on. I thought today we would talk a little bit about environment because I was just having a great conversation with my daughter about how much environment matters. Excuse me. Raz feels like he should be very involved in this conversation. So if we're talking about environment, that is always going to be an impact on your horse's interactions. So here we have a beautiful, cold, sunny day. Raz heard me talking. He's pretty sure he should be involved. And I love this. But this is him on this day, in this moment. And it's a part of his personality that I really like. I even don't mind that he's rubbing his head on my back. I find it endearing. This is the kind of push in a relationship that I think we can both enjoy. Everybody's going to be a little bit different. If you don't like something, you should move past it, around it, and try again. Now, the question is Raz going to make a different decision? Yeah, there he goes. He changed focus. He thought of something else before it became too overwhelming. And what that tells you is when your horse can change focus and move on to something else before it's overwhelming, it means that he knows you a little bit. He spent enough time with you to know how to adjust his behavior before you need to do something about it. How do we get to that point? How do we get to the point where a horse knows how to push into you in a way that makes you laugh or pull away from you in a way that allows you to go with them so the two of you can go do something together? How do you develop to that point? Well, environment matters. I really believe that the environment you're in when you're working with your horse plays a huge part in the relationship you will develop. And what I mean by that is that every environment has stress factors that will either increase or decrease their ability for novel stimulus. So, they're always bringing in sights, sounds, feelings, tastes. They're using their senses to interpret the world around them. They are herd animals by nature. They want to cooperate and get along. However, if they feel unsafe, they become more individual and less herd-oriented. When they become more individual, it means they want to survive and they want what's good for them and they don't really think about the needs of their friends. So if I want to teach my horses to really consider my needs, to consider what's good for me and how much pressure to put on me or how much to pull away before they wait for me to walk with them, how much is good of coming towards me or pulling away and when to pause, all of those things are really natural herd instincts. And horses are going to do this by default, but only if their stress is at the right level. And I believe it's really important that stress be neither too high nor too low. However, it's always working on a cycle. So when horses get tired, their stress is hopefully going to go too low. So they stop taking in information, they stop using their senses, and they just process everything that they've already taken in. That's a really important part of the cycle. There's also going to be an important part of the cycle where maybe they realize they haven't been paying attention and they need to get a little bit more independent. And that's going to be more of your reptilian reflex behaviors, where the horse feels like they need to use their fight or flight, their push or their pull, because they are not being understood as an individual. Now, where we make the most progress in training is where we can develop the cooperative behaviors, the herd instincts. And so the herd instincts are going to happen right in that mid-range of stress, where the stress is neither too high nor too low. You can't be there all the time. It's going to go too high sometimes and it's going to go too low sometimes. And when you have a horse that is too high in their stress levels, you're going to handle the relationship with them very, very differently. There's going to be a lot more action from both of you trying to solve the issue of something new needs to happen. If the stress is right in the perfect level, which I think it is right here with Raz and I, he's interested in what I'm doing. He's interested in smelling my tea. He's interested in partaking in this conversation, but he's willing to take pauses before I'm overwhelmed by his interest. And that is really important. So what's so magic about the environment? The environment today is cold but sunny, dry, beautiful, and he is neither too tired nor is he too fresh. He's right in the middle. It's a really magical moment of time. So the training that I invest at this moment of time, when his stress is neither too high nor too low, is going to feed our relationship in a way that can't compare with a different time of day, a different weather pattern, a different group of friends. Everything in your horse's environment, from the food they eat, to the temperature, to the weather. Raz is very, very interested in tea time. All of these things are going to play a part in your training. And, you know, you could say I'm just sitting here and Raz is playing with me. Is this training? It is training. Training is any memorable behavior that the horse might repeat in the future. So right now, Raz was nuzzling me. He was pushing into me. He's trying to get my attention. And then he pauses and he looks out across the field. He's going to check on the fox that's running over there. And then he's going to come back and he's going to nuzzle me and he's going to check on things. Is this good for the relationship? Yes, because he's doing all sorts of things that I love. I want him to remember these things. I want him to repeat these things. This is training. Training is just the habitual development of things you'd like the horse to remember and repeat. So when we choose times like this, where the horse's stress is at the right level for us. Now, this wouldn't be right for everybody. It's perfect for me. I love a horse that's really interactive like this. I love a horse that's nuzzly and snuggly and kind and will take breaks before I'm overwhelmed, but is 100% interested in being involved. I love this. Now, just so you guys know, I don't ever feed treats. I don't have treats in my pocket. I don't ever carry food rewards out here with me. This is just not part of the thing. So he's not looking for food rewards. He may love the smell of my tea. That's wonderful. But this is just about engagement. He just wants to be interested in what I'm interested in. This is the main thing that I train. Can we train our horses to be interested in what we're interested in? This is what I call emotional training, which is different from mental training. It's different from physical training. Physical training is where you train the body in movements until they develop a habitual pattern around movements you like. Mental training is where you solve puzzles with the horse. They know they have to do one thing in order to get another thing. That's going to be more of your food reward training, your scratches reward training, things like that. What I train is emotional training, which is how do we teach the horses to seek the right level of stress so that their herd behaviors come naturally. Their herd behaviors are where they push just the right amount so that everybody likes it. They pull away just the right amount so that everybody can go places together. They use their interactive behaviors in a way that makes everybody enjoy time together more. My main goal when I train horses is that I can train the emotional state to be as predictable as possible so that we can enjoy as much time together. The environment matters. So if it's howling wind and everybody's braced and a little bit stressed from the wind, I'm still going to train, but my expectations are very, very different. And I know that they're not going to be as powerful as when I have a day like today. The days like today is where I'm really building my bank account for the relationship. I'm really finding things that we love together, that we're going to bank, that we're going to remember, that we're hopefully going to repeat. When the stress gets too high from the environment, let's say new horses move in next door, or somebody didn't sleep well, or a herd member is not feeling well. You know, all of those things would be things that would be stressors that would bring the stress level up, which means we're not going to get the same kind of interactions from the horses. Is it good to still practice? Absolutely. Because I want to show the horses that I am still oriented in a herd way, even when the stress level's higher. Okay, so I'm not just interacting with them to get what I want out of them. I am building a bank of experiences where no matter whether the stress is high or low or in the middle where I like it, they know I will show up putting the good of the herd first. I am interested in all of my horses feeling better around me. That means that I'm going to push into their space just enough that they feel better, that they enjoy it. I'm going to pull out of their space just enough that they feel better and that they want to do things with me. I'm going to pause when they're exercising their senses really, really well. I'm going to use all of my timing, no matter whether the stress is high or low, to show them that I am community-minded. And what I find is when you share that with the horses, when you lead by example, they will give it back in more and more situations. But we have to remember the environment always matters. I used to joke when I still had my mare Myrna and she was really solid with a lot of things. I used to joke that even if I got her to be 1 helicopter proof, I didn't know if she would be 10 helicopter proof, which meant 1 helicopter could land next to us and I'm pretty sure we could handle it. We'd be interested, we'd be curious, we'd be community minded, but at some point that stressor is going to get to a point where the community-minded part wears off and horses get very independent. They just want to save their own skin. That's always going to be a factor. And to point of fact, that is why we have bridles. That's why we have tools of control. So that when you cross that threshold and the horse is no longer feeling community-minded, you have a way to refocus them. So whether you've got a bit or a bosal or a halter, that rope around their nose is going to help redirect their focus in ways that bring them back to the present moment, hopefully lower their stress, and hopefully keep everybody safe. I'm going to do all my training without these tools, without the halter, without the bridle, because I'm curious how far we can train emotionally without needing to resort to the bigger tools of pressure. What can we do to strengthen a horse's desire to interact in a way that they want to work with you and they want to cooperate and they want to do things that make you happy and the group happy? That's what's most fun for me. So I hope that's a few good thoughts for you guys today. Environment's always going to matter. There are going to be lower stress moments. There are going to be higher stress moments. If we can really soak up that mid-level where stress is exactly right, it's right in the middle, those are the behaviors we want them to remember best and repeat the most. And that's where the most powerful training happens. Variety is important. We should train at all stress levels, I believe. It's just the expectations really change. So whether the horse can feel community-minded or whether they're going to feel a lot more independent is going to depend on their stress levels and the environment that they're in. So I see I've got a couple of comments here. Claudia says, bank, love that. Yes. Jeannie says, oriented in a herd way. Yes, that's what we're aiming for. So, as Raz comes back to visit me, he's very oriented towards this conversation. I love it. His herd-oriented nature is coming out, and I want him to remember this. And the way I get him to remember this is I make sure that I don't disturb him or distract him from his sensory involvement. So whether he is smelling my tea or nuzzling my leg or playing with my hat. Those are all sensory experiences that he really enjoys, and I want to make sure and give him time to enjoy this. I also need to leave him wanting more. So at some point, my job is to say, that's wonderful, let's end it there while it's still wonderful. Amity says, showing that I'm still herd-oriented and community-minded even when the stress comes up. Love this, yeah. So that's one of my biggest things, is we can teach by example. So no matter what level my horse's stress is at, I can show them that I understand. I love this so much. I know that not everybody does. There's a lot of people who feel like if you give a horse an inch, they'll take a mile. And, you know, with some horses, that's going to be true. I believe Raz knows when to pause. He knows when to pause. He knows when to look out at the view. I thought that was fabulous fun. And I do hope that that's a behavior he does with me more often. He's not a horse that I'm going to sell. He's not a horse that's going into other places or other people who that might bother. This is the relationship with me. Now, there will always be safety issues. I encourage you guys to keep that in mind, particularly if you have your horse in public settings. But having a horse be able to self-regulate. How much push do I put in? How much pull do I put in? How much attention do I give? When do I rest? These are the things that are really interesting to me. So I hope that's some good food for thought. And you guys, certainly, if you don't like horses rubbing on you the way Raz is just demonstrating with me, you would make sure and walk past that behavior or do something to let the horse know that you didn't like it. That is absolutely valid. Every relationship's going to be a little bit different. And I encourage you guys to set up your relationships in ways that work for you. When your horse is really community-minded, they will remember what you like and what you don't like, okay? And they will adjust accordingly. When they're feeling really, really independent, all they'll think about is what they like, their own independent desires. And when that's the case, we're going to go ahead and do a lot more activity around them. We're going to do a lot more passing by behaviors we don't like. So we still express to them what we like and what we don't like, but we're going to do it in a really cooperative way so that hopefully in the future, they can give that right back to us. So those are my thoughts for tea time today. I hope that's inspiring, and I'm going to go ahead and play with my horses in the sun, and I hope you guys have a wonderful Tuesday. I will see you next week. One more thing. I almost forgot. I will be in California the end of March. So if any of you guys are in the US, I would love to see you. Come to a clinic, Winters, California. I'm really excited to be doing some more US clinics this year. I don't know if the world is ready for it. There's a thing that happens with clinicians where Americans tend to have to go to Europe and Australia, and, you know, Australians and Europeans tend to come to the US. You feel like the world is maybe not quite ready for you in your own country for a while. I think with the book about to be released, books should be coming out in June, we may be on the threshold where I start to have a bit more of an audience in the US. If you guys would like to see more clinics in the US, try and come see me. I'll be in California in the end of March. Details are on the website. I will be in Indiana in May, and I will be in Georgia towards the end of the year in the fall. So I love you guys. I hope to see you somewhere at a clinic stop. I will definitely be back here for tea time next Tuesday.